From fiction to fact. Inventions come from ideas. Where do ideas come from? One of the best sources for ideas are storybooks. Many ideas for modern inventions came from the imagination of storytellers. Their ideas were meant to entertain readers. Some readers were inspired to turn the ideas into reality. Here are 3 famous writers of science fiction whose stories influence the future.
Jules Verne is a well-known writer of science fiction. Many of his books inspired scientists who turned fiction to fact. In 1865, the French author wrote about a manned spaceflight to the moon in the novel From the Earth to the Moon. A 100 years later, the first man finally flew to the moon. In the same novel, Verne described spacecraft powered by light. This technology exists today and is called solar sails. In another novel, Rover the Conqueror, Verne described an aircraft named Albatross. Albatross inspired inventor Igor Sikorsky to build the modern helicopter 50 years later.
Ray Bradbury is regarded as a master of science fiction. In his novel Fahrenheit 451, the characters wear little seashells in their ears. They are actually in-ear radios, which are similar to the in-ear headphones or earbuds we use today. In the same story, the people who live in a futuristic world are enchanted by their flat-screen televisions. The television screens take up an entire wall. True enough, many modern homes now have home theaters with huge flat-screen televisions. What Ray Bradbury imagined in 1953 is now reality.
Arthur C. Clarke is highly respected as a writer who predicted the future. In 1968, he wrote the novel 2001, A Space Odyssey. In the story, he described a device called the newspad. The device allowed the user to read Earth's newspapers. It sounds very much like the tablet computers we are using today. In 1964, Clarke wrote Dial F for Frankenstein. In this story, computers worked together in a network. 9-year-old Tim Berners-Lee read the story and was fascinated by the idea. He grew up to be the man who created the World Wide Web.
Network. Investors were inspired by film and television too. The TV series Star Trek entertained audiences in the 1960s, but also showed some devices we use today. Key in the search word Star Trek inventions or Star Trek technology. Tell your teacher which invention you found the most surprising.
Fun facts. The word spaceship was first used way back in 1880. The term science fiction first appeared in print in 1851.